and on mixlr.com/wakeupcall. DT, proud to be here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Appreciate you being here with us inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, hanging out here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Of course, Cafe Kubal located for you on 3501 James Street, as well as 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse, New York, and located for you on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in North Syracuse, and of course in that drive-through location, and on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York. So however you're connecting with Cafe Kubal, make sure you head out there today. A cup of coffee goes a long way, and a local cup of coffee goes even further. So make sure you go out there to Cafe Kubal today. Big thanks to all of our wonderful, wonderful partners in the community that you'll hear from throughout the broadcast. Inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, you're watching and listening live around the world Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We appreciate your patience this morning. YouTube.com, Facebook.com, and MixLR.com, all /WakeUpCallDT. Of course, on Facebook.com /LiveNowDT as well. And on WakeUpCallDT.com's homepage. So however you're connected with the show, we thank you so much for being here with us Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And of course, you can go to our archives and grab past shows and listen forever. And with over 1,600 broadcasts available to you on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, TuneIn, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, and YouTube. Search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. It is always my pleasure on a Thursday to welcome Papa Joe to the broadcast. PJ is going to be joining me in just a second inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. So he'll be joining us momentarily to speak on a bunch of different things, remembering Mike Leach with his untimely and unfortunate passing here just within the last couple days. We'll talk about that. We'll get into college bowl season, because believe it or not, the first bowl games will be played tomorrow. For those of you watching and listening live, on December 16th, bowl season officially begins. We'll go into the NFL and make our week 15 picks, but not before we talk about our Jaguars getting that victory, which is why I'm sitting in studio today. Well, I mean, I would sit in studio with this on any day, but especially today, I found it fitting to be here with my Fred Taylor jersey, because there's a story behind this that connects to Tennessee. So we'll talk about that in just a little bit, and we will end with some more Major League Baseball moves that have gone on. And then in hour number 2 at around 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time, we'll have Gene Waldron, Syracuse Orange men's basketball alum, join the show to talk about Syracuse-Georgetown rivalry, as well as the Big East versus the ACC when it comes to Syracuse basketball, and what he likes and what he thinks about that. We'll remember Dwayne Pearl Washington, as the Dome did here recently, and we will also talk about the current team this season, and then we'll round out today's show with my one-on-one conversations with Jim Boeheim, the head coach of the Syracuse Orange men's basketball team in his 47th season. We'll also speak with Syracuse basketball alum and assistant coach Adrian Autry, and we'll talk to sophomore forward Benny Williams. All today, all in this broadcast, all with you. So thank you so much for being here. Thanks for hanging out where sports meets that thing called life. Can't thank you enough for being a part of the show. And we very much, as always, look forward to welcoming this gentleman to the broadcast. He is no stranger to the show. We refer to him as the Go-So, the grand old smooth one. Also PJ, also Papa Joe. We call him so many different things here on the broadcast, and we appreciate him so very much. So he's here on the show, still on the mend, and we're happy to have him. PJ, how we doing?
Very good, Daniel. I still fighting this thing. How's it called? That's an antigen B. That's a new virus. Mary said it's sweeping the nation, so it's starting in Florida. I wish it would have started somewhere else. But it's taken a long time to get rid of it. So I apologize in advance if I start coughing or hacking away. Be patient with me until I can talk again. We're fine. We're looking forward to the... good for you. I'm not going to be contagious, so you don't have to worry about that. And We're looking forward to your visit so we can celebrate Christmas here before you go back up. And, watch the Jaguars. Maybe they got a few tricks up their sleeve for the Cowboys.
Yeah, and we know that coming up here for the Jaguars, it's going to be my Super Bowl. First time I've ever gotten to see this live on site, on location, God willing. I will have the opportunity to see my favorite team, the Jaguars, play my second favorite team, the Cowboys, in a matchup coming up here this weekend down in Jacksonville, Florida at TIAA Bank Field. But before we get to that, we have a plethora of topics to speak on. And PJ, first and foremost, I would love to get your thoughts on, the untimely passing. I believe he was only 61 years old. And that is the untimely passing of someone we've talked about on this show many times, which is Mississippi State head coach Mike Leach. And just your thoughts on the news. We heard that he, went to the hospital and that it was something with his heart. And within 2 days, he was back in heaven. So what are your thoughts on all this? And remembering Mike Leach, I didn't think you and I would be talking about his passing at all. It didn't cross my mind that this is something that would come up. We bring him up all the time. He had a very unique personality, and I'm kind of at a loss for words that he's not here right now.
Well, he's an unbelievable character, very highly intelligent, got a law degree. The guy read the Bible 5 times. That's how smart he is. He didn't miss anything either. He was just a character. He was bouncing all over the side. He was an offensive genius, and there's a lot of men that are coaching in this country that belong to the Mike Leach tree. I can't name them all, but I know there's a bunch of them. He started a long time ago until he started opening things up with his playbook. Once he hooked up with Hal Mummy, he used to be at Kentucky, and they started this air raid stuff, and it just took over. And he had the athletes to do it, especially at Texas Tech. He had the athletes to do that. When he was in Washington State, he was still very, very popular and successful there. And frankly, I was happy to see him when he came to the SEC so he could shake up the old guard around here, Nick Saban and his boys. He's a very, really good coach, a heck of a personality, larger than life. And anytime if you could be lucky enough to listen to one of his interviews, you'd understand what a character he was. He's going to be missed, that's for sure.
Yeah, and you said, obviously someone who had read the Bible numerous times, and the beauty of that, someone who cared about faith and cared about God, and was someone who spoke his mind. It just how we remember that, and maybe the legacy he leaves in that respect of reminding people to be who they are and to not be afraid to talk about God or to talk about the Bible. Just maybe what you think Mike Leach's legacy can be.
Well, he certainly brought it to the forefront, that's for sure. He made a few mistakes along the way. I think one mistake he made there was a wide receiver when he was at Texas Tech. I think the James boy, the guy that used to be, I don't know if he's on ESPN anymore, an announcer. He used to be a football player too. Anyway, his son got a concussion, and I guess Mike wasn't treating it correctly, and then all hell breaks loose. And I guess that was the beginning of his demise at Texas Tech. But he always had a quip to say, and he always had something to say about his opponents. And he frankly talked about anything. He was so smart that any subject he brought up, he had an opinion on, which was great. I mean, I enjoyed. I'm going to miss him. I really am. He's one of a kind.
Speaking here with Papa Joe this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Cafe Kubal studios. PJ, what does it tell you about life when you see a coach like Mike Leach on the sideline today and then tomorrow back in heaven? What should we learn about how quickly somebody can go? What should that teach us when we see someone's life here today and up in heaven tomorrow.
Oh, well, life is precious, and you have to live every day like it may be your last. I mean, you have to enjoy what you have around you. You have to love the people around you. And if you enjoy your vocation, just keep plugging away. There's not, when you deal with a guy like Mike Leach, he comes from he's got so many different angles that you never know what he's going to say next or what topic he's going to say on. I know that he would always, he'd always dig some college coaches, especially the ones that he used to play against. And I found that to be refreshing. He left us at 61 years old, which is entirely too young to anyone, really. He's going to be missed. I mean, I'd like to see his playbook. He really never had a playbook. I remember when he started out, he used to write things on a card. That's how we used to call a game, on a little card, a piece of scrap paper. He'd have that kind of an offensive mind. And once he saw that he was successful at it, he started recruiting better, and obviously wound up with some quarterback with some good arms, because a lot of them threw for over 4,000 yards a year. So, but Mike will be missed, and he won't be easily replaced. Matter of fact, he can't be easily replaced. The only guy that I think is as much of a character as Mike Leach was is my old coach, Steve Spurrier, and Spurrier always had some stuff to say about everyone. I know he was a very opinionated guy too, and he would just ride the hell out of his opponents, especially at Florida State. So, Steve Spurrier was right on the same plane as him. Always had something to say, and didn't mind saying it. So, Mike, rest in peace.
Yeah, and a big, many prayers to your loved ones and to everybody that has been affected by the life of Mike Leach, and just people that are having a tough time here today with anybody that's passed away, any of your loved ones, that you find peace, that you find God's voice, and you find comfort and memory. I always say, God, if, whenever somebody passed away that we love, may those that are here on earth after they pass help us to understand that dying you destroyed our death, and rising you restored our life, and that they're okay, and just help us to be okay, and to find a way to peacefully move forward and to be all right. I mean, you never stop missing. I mean, my grandfather's passed away 31 years ago, and I think about both of them at least once a day. Still, to this day, 3 decades plus later. So, the good ones stick with you. The great ones never leave you. And in Mike Leach, somehow, some way, to the ones that he was closest to, I'm sure will continue to, have some connections there in beautiful ways. And like PJ said, you got to enjoy the moment. You got to enjoy your life. You got to make the most of the time that is in front of you, because it is imperative that you don't waste the seconds, waste the moments, waste the days. And that hits home. So enjoy every second, folks. They are not promised. And life is a beautiful thing. So with that being said, PJ, with life being a beautiful thing, we know that many teams get to enjoy bowl season. There are 80, wait for it because PJ is going to lose his mind, 84 teams that play in the bowl season. 84 teams go to a bowl game, and that's including the college football playoff. 84 total teams go to a bowl game. PJ, let me get your thoughts first and foremost on the fact that 84 of a little over 130, so 50 some odd teams in college football Division I AFBS, they don't go, but the rest of them do. Your thoughts on the fact that there are 84 bowl spots every year?
It's ridiculous. I mean, money talks, of course. If you go to a whatchamacallit bowl, each team is going to get $500,000 or something like that. I don't. Frankly, it's boring. I wouldn't sit through 43 games or 42 games to watch 84 players, 84 teams. I wouldn't do that. I'm not going to do that. What bothers me most is that a lot of these teams are mediocre teams. They're not very good. including my Gators. My Gators are 6-6. What the hell good is it a 6-6 team going to play against a good team like Oregon State? They're going to get blown away. I mean, and they'll wind up with a 6-7 record. How many teams playing will wind up with a 6-7 record or a 5-6 record and a losing record and went to a bowl game? I don't get it. I don't understand it, and I don't like it. So, but anyway, my Gators didn't deserve to go to a bowl, but because they're the SEC and they're 6-6, they got to play a good team like Oregon State, who is 9-3, by the way. I don't see Oregon State losing that game at all. But I'll be looking at it. I'll be watching and see if I can pick up some players that will be better next year. Mike Napier's got a really good recruiting class coming in, 21 signees, and 18 of them 4-stars or better. So I look forward to next year, really. But, I'm not even looking forward to the playoff, because the playoff, the playoff was made to be for the Big Ten this year, and I guess we're going to have to accept that. So if the two teams that are playing the Big Ten will beat those guys, then maybe we'll have a good championship game.
Yeah, I mean, and you said it, and that's entirely correct. I mean, this was set up for the Big Ten, just like other years have been set up for the Big Ten. And I'm not here to, Big Ten fans out there and fans of teams in the Big Ten, I'm not here to witch hunt. I say that all the time. I would say this about anybody that was given an unfair advantage. I would say it about the SEC. I'd say it about the ACC. I'd say it about the Big 12. I'd say it about the Big 10. I mean, the reality of it all is that, the Big 12 gets an unfair advantage. They get an unfair shake at things, and they set them up this year. I mean, you make them number 2 and 3 in the country when they haven't played anybody, and that to me is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it's asinine to have them in the top 10, let alone the top 15, and then keep rising them higher and higher and higher and higher when they're playing unranked. They played 2 ranked teams. Each other was 1 in Penn State. That's it. They didn't play ranked teams outside of it, except for Notre Dame that was ranked way too high at number 5 for Ohio State. That was a preseason ranking in week number 1. But you look at the teams now, and you say to yourself, okay, well, what warranted a 2-spot or a 3-spot? Well, Dan, one of them's undefeated. Okay, that's great. When Boise State was undefeated, they got nothing. When Cincinnati was undefeated, 1 out of 2 years, they got nothing. When UCF was undefeated in 2 years back-to-back, when they think about this, UCF didn't go undefeated in back-to-back regular seasons. They went undefeated in back-to-back regular seasons when their entire coaching staff changed. Scott Frost was there, had his staff. He left, took everybody pretty much, and they had to have a whole new staff with Josh Heupel, and they still went undefeated. Who's ever done that in history, to go undefeated in back-to-back seasons with 2 different coaching staffs? But they didn't get anything for that. So, if Michigan goes undefeated, they get in. If Ohio State goes undefeated, they get in. If they have 1 loss, they get in. If Notre Dame goes undefeated, they get in. If Notre Dame has 1 loss, they could get in. What's that saying to the rest of the country? What is that saying to Coastal Carolina? If you're going to make an argument for one, you got to make it for all, and they're not making the argument for all. They're making it for the Big Ten. And it's a travesty to sports, because I'm not saying that Michigan and Ohio State aren't good teams. I'm not saying they don't have talent. I'm not saying they don't have history. I'm not saying they don't recruit. I'm saying these spots, if you pay attention to the rankings from pretty much the beginning, these were set up for them. The spots were held for them. Everybody else had to make mistakes, and that helped these guys out, right? It was just a perfect scenario that all these teams made mistakes. The USCs of the world lost. The Tennessees lost. The Clemsons lost. The Alabamas lost. And they say, well, Dan, we can't do anything about that. That set them up. But are you really getting the 4 strongest teams? I submit that you are not. I think Georgia is the best team in the country, and I think TCU is a good team, and I'm really happy they put them in the college football playoff. And I don't know if they gave them the 3rd spot. I think they wanted to give them the 4th spot, but they couldn't give them Ohio State, Michigan in the first week in the semifinal. They couldn't do that, so then they moved them up. Because in my opinion, TCU deserves to be there. Georgia deserves to be there. And Michigan and Ohio State, well, They were going to be there whether you liked it or not. So here we are in the college football playoff. It'll be coming up. We have some time until it happens. And PJ, if you can believe it or not, the bowl season officially starts tomorrow, December 16th, the Hometown Lenders Bahamas Bowl between Miami of Ohio and UAB, and the Duluth Trading Cure Bowl in Orlando, Florida, against UTSA and Troy. Are you ready for bowl season? Will you be watching right after my show broadcasts 9 to 11 a.m. tomorrow morning at 11:30 a.m. after you listen to Wake Up Call? Will you be in front of your TV watching the Bahamas Bowl?
No. To talk about the Big Ten again, the rest of the country's happy, but you got Southern Cal and UCLA going to go over to the Big Ten, not next year, but I think the year after that. And, of course, with them, there's going to be high expectations, and it's probably going to make the league a little bit tougher. But with those two big teams, these are national teams here. These are two serious players, and it's going to make Michigan and Ohio State and Penn State and those guys maybe recruit a little bit better so they can play. The only thing that bothers me about what's happening in the landscape today is that there's too much shuffling around. It all has to do with money. We know that. You've heard me say that 100 times on these shows. It all has to do with money. Certainly, UCLA and Southern Cal are going to bring a huge television network with them, a cable network deal probably, going to help their bottom line. How can you not like that if you're a fan? The only thing that bothers me about what's going to happen is the students. You got to take kids out of school. They got to fly 3 hours across the country to play a game. Kid, what are they going to have? Study hall on the plane? Come on. I think the academic standards are going to be hurt. I don't know what their standards are at USC and UCLA. I'm sure they're a hell of a lot lower than say, Stanford. Let's put it that way. And Ohio State and Michigan, we already know they're diluted. So,
yeah.
I don't see any reason why two teams from the West Coast has got to go to the Midwest unless it's money related. If someone can back me up on that, I'd love to hear that, because I'd like to see what the bottom line is. You're not talking about Rutgers or Illinois or some of these, teams that unfortunately Maryland can't put a team together to compete with the big boys. It's unfortunate, and I don't want to see it, but I guess I'm going to have to if I live that long. I hope I do. I want to, and then you got, on the same token, now we got Oklahoma and Texas coming to the SEC. So, there's no such thing as a regional division anymore. The Pac-10 used to be the Pac-10. I don't know what they're going to be. I'm not even sure there's going to be a Pac-10 anymore. The SEC, I guess you could say that Oklahoma and Texas are Southern teams.
Yeah.
But certainly not Southern Cal or UCLA are not Midwestern teams. So it bothers me. The whole thing shuffles. And then, and again, and not to be redundant, it has to do with money.
Yeah, and that's the root of all evil. And you look at the situation. At least the SEC, from Texas to Florida, they have stayed in the South. Now, are they the Southeast? No, they're the South Midwest to the Southeast, but they're still in the South. The Big Ten is in this Midwest area and the Northeast, and then they just jump out and grab these two teams on the West Coast, which sounds absolutely insane. I'm wondering why nobody could block it, right? Nobody could turn around and go, yeah, we can't do that. That's going to be, I figured it out. It's like 2,000 miles worth of travel. If Penn State wants to play USC, I think it's like 2,000 miles that they have to travel to do it. So people focus on football, right? And they focus on men's basketball, and maybe some people focus on women's basketball. But who's going to focus on field hockey? Are you going to drive a bus 2,000 miles across the country? Think about this. Driving from the Midwest to the West Coast, think about the weather you have to deal with. Think about the traffic you have to deal with. What are you going to do with field hockey? What are you going to do with volleyball? What are you going to do with soccer? What are you going to do with, softball and whatnot. Unfortunately, we talk about Title IX in 50 years and the importance of women's athletics, but they're not treated the same. They're usually not chartered, brought around the country in a big old nice plane, unless it's women's basketball, where that would happen. But you don't see that with field hockey and soccer and volleyball and all of those sports. You're not going to, in women's lacrosse, you're not going to take them on a private jet somewhere. So the question is it feasible? Does it make sense? The amount of money that you're going to make and the amount of money that you're going to put in and the amount of time you're going to travel. If I'm a student athlete, do I want to get on the bus? Maybe the first time it's fun. But if I'm going to school at Penn State, my third year, my fourth year, do I really want to sit on that bus and travel across the country from Penn State or Rutgers to go play USC or UCLA? No, I don't. If I go from Rutgers to UCLA or Rutgers to USC, I'm literally taking a coast-to-coast trip. I'm going from New Jersey to California. That's ridiculous. That's a long trip. It's a long flight. It's a 3-hour flight. It's a day at least if you drive straight through and don't sleep. So, to me, you got to think of the logistics of it and the ridiculousness of it. So the Big Ten is already 14 schools, so it makes no sense. Now they're going to be the Big 16 if they decide to change their name, and God only knows what they're going to change it to. But we will know this. No matter what the Big Ten changes their name to, the College Football Playoff Committee will never forget their name. So with that being said, PJ, in the time that you and I will talk next, there will be 13 bowl games played between now and the next time you and I talk next week. Your thoughts on the fact that we will have a baker's dozen worth of bowl games between now and next Thursday?
Well, I hope the kids have done their homework and have turned in their papers and whatever they got to do before they go on their Christmas vacation. Right? I'm not going to watch them, Daniel. I'll watch occasional games here and there. I'll watch Alabama and Georgia and things like that. I'm just, there was a tidbit just last week that brought to my attention was one of the best coaches in the West Coast, certainly David Shaw from Stanford. He resigned after so many years, and he always fielded a good team at Stanford. They weren't great teams. They were good teams. Now think about what Mr. Shaw had to go through to recruit the kind of athletes that Stanford demanded be in the classroom. Now, you heard me say this before too. Watered down standards for the rest of the country on regular teams like Alabama and Michigan State and things like that. But I think if you go to Stanford, you better have your grades, or you're not going to play football. I think one of the reasons Mr. Shaw probably turned it in was it's too hard. He couldn't go get the edge athletes that he was looking for. The kids with a 2.0 average that could kick ass on the field. Well, you're not going to get a lot of 4.0 kids that can kick ass on the field. So Mr. Shaw, he's probably going to take some time off and maybe find another school that's a little bit more lenient with their admitting standards. This is another reason why Vanderbilt has been so poor over the year, except for this year. They've done a hell of a job. Their standards are really high, like Northwestern's and all the big leagues, the Ivy League. Duke is another team with high standards. I would like to see, other than Stanford and the ones I mentioned, how many of these kids actually graduate from college. I think they give it a six-year window to graduate from college, which isn't bad. It took me 27 years to get 2 degrees, so what the hell? That's where I see this is going. Just review a little bit. It's all going to be about money, Daniel. That's all it is. So when you have these weak teams like my Gators are going to a bowl, you're going to make some money with a school with a poor record, and probably going to wind up 6-7 for the year. I don't know how you go out recruiting with a 6-7 record, but good luck to everyone. I'm sure that there's a lot of graduating people out there from the schools that are going to be on the TV broadcast. I'm sure all of them are going to be telecast too. So you get a chance to see your home team play. I guess that's not so bad.
No. 7 games this Saturday, December 17th. Going to feel like another college football Saturday. And again, Big Ten, just so you know, I would say it about anybody, but even though they got to understand the unfair advantage that they take in this world. And I'm hoping in the expansion of the playoff that we see some fairness come the way. But I don't think the best teams got into the college football playoff throughout. I think some of those teams tripped up, and that's unfortunate. I would have loved to see what Tennessee would have looked like and LSU would have looked like if they had one loss, what they would have done in that case. With that being said, we're going to take a step aside for a fast break. PJ and I will be back right after this to talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars taking down the Tennessee Titans. I'll give you the story behind my jersey that I'm wearing right now and its connection to Jacksonville and Tennessee. And we will make our picks for NFL Week 15 as well as talk about some Major League Baseball moves right after this from inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. This is Wake Up Call, and you are amazing. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. This is a special message from 317 at Montgomery restaurant owner Joel Carpenter. Open Tuesday through Saturday for your dining pleasure on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York.
We wanted to be a part of the resurgence of Syracuse. We saw a lot of money being put into bringing people back downtown and thought that, we'd like to be a part of that. I love putting together a good dish where people see it first They fall in love with it, and then it tastes just as good as it looks. We want to provide the best food in Syracuse that we possibly can, and we want you to leave here talking to your family, your friends about what you had to eat first and foremost, but also our service, and to walk out feeling like you're part of our family. I work out in the front of the house a lot, and I love walking to every single table, asking them how everything is, and people looking at me and smiling and saying, this is the most amazing short rib I've ever had. This is the most amazing filet I've ever had. And Donna is great. Sarah's amazing. Thank you for coming over and talking to us. And then them just being truly happy for the experience that they've gotten.
317 at Montgomery Restaurant, part of the fabric of downtown Syracuse, located on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday for a unique and memorable dining experience. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, hanging out with you where sports meets that thing called life. Appreciate you being here as always every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We're here with PJ as we are every Thursday to start off the broadcast. He's been with us throughout the entire broadcast, but the last few weeks has gotten this virus that's been going around. So make sure you wash your hands, folks. Wash your hands, be smart about what you're doing out there. It's also, in my opinion, because we've been Lysoling our bodies for 2 years and basically taking baths in Lysol and Purex and whatever, that we're in a situation right now where I think our bodies aren't as strong against germs because we've been trying to wipe all the germs off of our bodies for 2 years. So just be smart. Pardon me. Be smart, go to bed, drink water. I'm talking to myself, but go to bed and take care of yourself and just make sure that, you're being good to you, because I don't want anybody getting sick, and especially not my other parents here. I got two sets of parents. I got spoiled, and I love my Papa Joe and my Mary T, so we got to get them on the mend. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have that guy from Yellowstone come over, and I'm going to have him take that virus right out of you. Who's that guy? What's his name? Rip. I'm going to have Rip come over, and he's going to stand in front of you and go, hey, virus, why don't you go and get on out of here?
Don't make me call Rip.
Why don't you get on out of here? So, PJ and I, Jacksonville Jaguars, I promised you I'd tell you the story behind the jersey. So, my jersey has a connection to Jacksonville and Tennessee. So I wanted a Fred Taylor jersey for Christmas years ago. My mom, being the incredible human that she is, if you tell my mom no, she'll find another way. So my mom knew, so I wanted a Fred Taylor jersey. Apparently they weren't coming out yet, or they were just coming out. My mom got in touch somehow, some way. This was like I don't even know if this was like around, might have been internet time, might have not been internet time, and she made some phone calls. And she was, no, I don't think it was before you had like the internet in your house. And she called down to Tennessee. And ironically, Tennessee, where the Titans play, one of the rivals of the Jaguars, they had the jersey. So my mom sent to Tennessee for this Jacksonville jersey. And this year, Jacksonville went to Tennessee to take them on down. So Jacksonville, who typically doesn't beat Tennessee. And so I had to wear my Jacksonville Jaguars jersey from Tennessee with Fred Taylor, my favorite Jaguar ever, to celebrate the fact of A, the Jaguars winning a game, B, the Jaguars beating Tennessee, C, them doing it on the road, D, them doing it on a Sunday, because typically when they play Tennessee, they don't beat them on Sundays, which is a really weird statistic, and E, one of the coaches up here, PJ, made a bet with me that if the Jaguars beat the Titans, and this bet was made, I think, before the season even started, or when the season was just starting here, he said, if the Jaguars beat the Titans, I will take you wherever you want to go for dinner. You can order whatever you want on me. So, not only did my Jaguars and your Jaguars win, but I got a free dinner coming to me in the new year, and I'm very excited about it.
Oh, that's great. That's great. That's a good story. And Jaguars look absolutely fabulous. I mean, Trevor Lawrence looked like Bart Starr out there, and Ingram looked like the Gronk, for crying out loud. I didn't realize he was that fast for being a big man. But it was a good game to watch, and Trevor Lawrence is growing up in front of our eyes. I mean, they throw in clunkers every once in a while, like Detroit, but hey, Detroit's not easy to beat. Period. But the Jaguars look like they're playing their best ball now, and hopefully there's a good chance maybe they can get to a 500 record. But what would that be? That'd be a major accomplishment for Doug Peterson and his crew.
Yeah, and they still got a chance at the division, believe it or not. They still have an opportunity, and I said at the beginning of the season, before any games were played, I would be happy with 7 wins. 7-10 to me would be a good season. They got 4 weeks to get to 7. Believe it or not, they could get to 9, and the division of the AFC South is still open, and the Jaguars, as of the end of this weekend, are in the hunt for a playoff berth in general. They are in the hunt for the playoffs. And if anybody knows anything about the Jaguars, a Jaguar in the wild knows how to hunt. So, let's do it. Let's get it. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going week by week. And if somehow, some way, this can develop into the playoffs, I would be a very happy Jaguar here on Wake Up Call and beyond. I'd be very, very happy for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So, great stuff from Jacksonville. Much appreciation, much love to the Jaguars. 5-8, doing their thing, gaining, learning, growing, excelling, and just a couple wins away from the season that I said would have been a positive season. So, excited to see that. We got some playoff scenarios this week, PJ, for 2015, or pardon me, I should say for the Week 15 2022. I put them both together. So the Buffalo Bills can clinch a playoff berth if they win. There's a bunch of other ways they can do it. But if they win, they can clinch a playoff berth. Same thing with Kansas City. Philadelphia Eagles were the first team to clinch a playoff berth. No surprise there. Dallas can clinch a playoff berth if they defeat the Jaguars. Minnesota can also clinch one if they win or tie. San Fran can get in this thing. It's crazy looking at the teams that have an opportunity to get here and where it's at. And you look at Jacksonville has a 19.6% chance of making the playoffs, which I love. I love tough odds. The Chiefs, the Cowboys, and the Bills have a 99+% chance of making. Baltimore as well. San Fran as well. And how about that, PJ? We talk about Jimmy Garoppolo and wondering if they really appreciate what they have there. How about Brock Purdy, the final draft pick called Mr. Irrelevant in every draft? The last pick in the 2022 NFL draft just took down Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. Your thoughts on that game that looked ever so Purdy?
Oh, good. I like that. Purdy looked really good. I mean, I had to look the guy up. I wasn't aware of what he did. I think he was at Iowa State or something like that. He played for 4 straight years. He was a starter as a freshman, starter as a senior. I'm sure he's got his degree. Good for him. And someone saw something in Mr. Purdy that wasn't irrelevant. It was pretty relevant. I mean, look at it. He played the game for 4 years at a pretty high level in a fairly tough conference. In the Big Ten, we'll give him I don't know, are they in the Big Ten? Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, a
Big
fairly
12.
competitive conference, and he threw for 1 million yards. I mean, if I was looking for someone to ride the bench or learn how to play, or maybe could use a good substitute, he'd be the kind of guy I'd be looking for. And damn, if he wasn't there, then what happens? San Francisco scarfs him up. Now look what they got. They're going to have a real enigma when it comes to the starting quarterback. I'm sure that Garoppolo will be there, but I enjoyed watching him play. Made some good throws. He moved in the pocket well. He doesn't have the strongest arm, but you don't need to have a strong arm. You just got to put the ball in the right spot. He anticipated well. He knew pretty good well what his receivers were going to be doing, and he did a great job. I was very happy to see that.
Yeah, so really awesome. Brock Purdy, Iowa State, Big 12, 4 seasons that he played, he had a 66.4% completion percentage in his first season, then a 65.7, then a 66.6, then a 71.7, over 2,200 yards in his first season, then almost 4,000 yards in his second, 2,750, I should say, in his third, 3,188 in his final season, which was 2021. He had 81 touchdowns to 33 interceptions and threw for over 12,000 yards in college. Brock mother freaking Purdy did it all, did it well, and San Francisco has had 3 quarterbacks this season, PJ, and they have a 99.2% chance of making the playoffs.
They're just they look good. Love to watch them. Of course, watching McCaffrey bounce all over the place is fun to watch too. But I think that they're legitimate. I don't know what kind of defense will be thrown at Mr. Purdy next time he plays, but there were some good games this last weekend. The one I really loved was Baker Mayfield and what he did with the Rams. I mean, come on, give me a break here. Are you kidding me? Would you say he came into the team after 5 minutes or something like that?
Yeah.
And just tore apart the Raiders. I mean, didn't tear apart the Raiders. He came from behind to win the game. 98 yards in the last drive. I mean, a couple of penalties helped him, but Baker Mayfield is the kind of player that Purdy is. They're not big, they're not strong. Baker Mayfield knows how to play the game. And you got to look for a coach that allows the quarterback's personality to get into the game. You don't need a big 6'6" guy to drop back and throw all the time. Mayfield, he moves in the pocket. He tries to escape. He doesn't. He moves the street real well. Purdy did the same thing. And Mayfield won't run if he's going to get killed. And I don't want. By the way, I got another rant coming up here too.
Okay.
Mayfield looked really great to watch him. He and Purdy are the same kind of quarterbacks.
Yeah, so go ahead with your rant. What do you got for me?
Oh, God. Now, who got hurt this weekend?
Who got hurt this weekend?
Who got hurt this last weekend? That's a quarterback.
Yeah, well, I mean, as far as the injuries, I know Lamar Jackson's been out, I know you're not talking about Lamar, but
Kyler Murray.
Yeah, and Kyler Murray's out. Kyler Murray's out for the season. Lamar's been hurt. Justin Fields had gotten hurt. So yeah, go ahead.
All right. What was Kyler Murray doing when he got hurt? He was running the friggin' ball up the friggin' middle. Daniel.
Yeah.
You hear me rant it week after week after week. Quarterbacks are not supposed to run the ball. Don't give them a play that allows them to run the ball. You're going to kill these kids. Fields, he could have landed on his right shoulder instead of his left shoulder, and he'd be out for the year. He'd probably, Lamar Jackson. Look at. I don't want anyone to misinterpret what I say when I say this. I don't want to see the quarterbacks run the ball. Of course, I know they have to scramble every once in a while. That's different. But don't give the guys a design play where you got a little guy that's 5'11", up 200 pounds, going to try to get up the middle to get 3 yards. Come on now. There has to be, you have to pound some sense into these coaches and general managers. That's not the way the quarterback is supposed to be played. If quarterback runs the team, they have the players to make the play. It's up to the quarterback and the coaches get the ball to the players that make the play, not the quarterback themselves. Oh, we're to watch Lamar Jackson play football, it really is a pleasure. But, Daniel, he's going to continue to get hurt.
Yeah.
And Kyler Murray is not the biggest little guy, and he's not going to – who knows how he's going to come back. This all goes back to when this dual threat stuff happened from college to football. And you got Robert Griffin III come in, supposed to be the next great quarterback, right? Well, What happened to him? And look what happened to him, and look what happened to his career. It's not worth it. If you got 3 quarterbacks on your roster, then you need to take care of all 3 quarterbacks. Please don't run them up the middle. I mean, Josh Allen is 6'6" and 240 pounds. If he wants to run the ball, no one's going to stop him. But he's going to get hurt one day, just like the rest of them. I don't want to see that. I want to see competitive teams play at their level with the players that they have. If the quarterback needs to find the players to make the plays, that's all.
Yeah, that coming from PJ. PJ, I know how you feel about it. Kyler Murray out for the season, so and the team is already in a bad way. So our prayers and well wishes go out to Kyler Murray, his family, and everybody connected to him with this. And with that being said, for the teams that are in action, and with the players, I should say, that are in action, all teams are in action, 16. Let's go down the line quick here, PJ. We're going to do our picks. San Francisco at Seattle. What do you got?
Oh, you got to go with San Francisco all the way on this one.
Yeah, I mean, San Francisco, listen, their defense, I talked about it yesterday, their defense has been insanely incredible. So I am so absolutely, just blown away by what they've done defensively this season. I got to pick San Francisco as well. There's 3 games on Saturday that were flexed out. So your thoughts on these Saturday games, PJ? Let's start with Indianapolis at Minnesota.
Too much for Minnesota at stake here. They got to win this game easy.
Minnesota, to me, they're a strong team. They're a good team. They've had some moments where you've kind of scratched your head a little bit, but I think Indianapolis is a team that's, trying to get through the rest of the season, these last few games, and then figure out what they're going to do for the future when they get into the draft itself, because this is a team that needs some help and needs to move forward. So PJ and I are going to equal each other out. I'm going to go with the Vikings as well on Saturday. Baltimore at Cleveland. PJ, what do you got?
Well, is Lamar Jackson going to play, or is he going to play?
Right.
That's the big question. Don't know. And you got Deshaun Watson, who's not really known at all this year. I mean, he's played a couple of games. He doesn't look really, really good. I'm going to say the Ravens because of their defense.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Cleveland has been in a place where it's not, I mean, they're not great. They're not great. Deshaun didn't have a great come into the season. Maybe that'll improve. Maybe that'll get better. I think that, we'll obviously get to watch him and kind of see how he could finish out this year, his first season with Cleveland, even though he's going to play a few games. But I got to go with Baltimore in this one. Yes, it is. Is Lamar going to play? Is he not going to play? But I'm looking at Baltimore to gut this out against a Cleveland team that I'm just not impressed with this year. Miami at Buffalo. If Buffalo wins, I believe they'll be 3 games ahead of Miami. If not, it would be 2.5. So they already have some cushion. This will give them more cushion. Your thoughts on this, PJ?
Well, I read yesterday where they're going to have a foot of snow up in the Buffalo area. So I'm sure that there's going to be some inclement weather for the Miami Dolphins. I think at their best, they can probably beat Buffalo, but they're not going to be their best this week. I think the conditions are going to be too much for Tua and the boys. They're not used to this kind of stuff. And as they say, Josh Allen is a beast. So if he wants to play in the snow, let him go. It's the Bills.
Yeah, I got to pick the Bills in this one too. The Bills they're on an avenge tour, and they avenged their loss that they had to the New York Jets. They have now an opportunity to avenge the loss that they had to the Dolphins. Both of these would put them in great footing as they move closer and closer to the playoffs. And as of right now, if they continue to win, Kansas City's chomping at their heels, but they beat Kansas City head-to-head. They're both 10-3. As I said weeks ago, all Buffalo's got to do is keep on winning. It's a lot easier saying it than doing it, but Buffalo's in a place right now where if they win out, we're looking at a Buffalo Bills team that will not only win the AFC East, but they will be the number 1 team. And remember, only the top seed in the AFC and the NFC gets a bye now. The second seed has to play with the addition of an extra team in the playoffs. So remember that. Only your top team gets to have that first week off, and right now Buffalo is that team. I'm going with the Bills. Sunday games, Philadelphia at Chicago. What do you got?
Philadelphia at Chicago. Jalen Hurts and his team are surprising everyone, including myself. I think that he's done an extraordinary job this year. I think he really should be in the running for the most valuable player if it wasn't for Patrick McCombs. But I don't see the only way I can see that Chicago would be relevant this week is if the Eagles don't play all their players. I mean, they've already clinched their division, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but if they don't play everyone, the Bears got a chance. But I don't think it makes too much difference. I think Philadelphia's just too good anyway.
Yeah, Philly's clinched a playoff berth as of right now. The division is still open with the Cowboys being as close as they are, but Philly does have their 12-1. Cowboys are 10-3. So I'm going to go with Philadelphia in this one as well. Philly just keeps on winning. The only team that beat them were the Commanders. They got them on Monday night. Besides that, it's been all Philadelphia. Atlanta at New Orleans, PJ. What do you got? And, by the way, Andy Dalton, allegedly still the starter, but for the first time in many, 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 many weeks, I can proudly say your man, Jameis Winston, can play because he is off of the injury report.
Oh, my goodness. That's scary right there. Jameis, my man. That's Jameis. What game have we got?
Falcons
and
at
the
Saints. Yep.
And the Saints. Well, if you're playing at home, obviously the Saints should win it, but the Falcons are having quarterback problems, and I read yesterday a nasty little article saying that Marcus Mariota left the team because he got demoted. Now, if that's the kind of guy that Mariota is, he doesn't need to be on the team. I like the Saints.
Yeah, this is, and it's crazy. It said, there was a thing that came out, it said the team doesn't know if he'll be back. After being benched, he left. Desmond Ritter's my guy from Cincinnati who's going to be taking over, and very, very excited for what's coming up here. So, Atlanta at New Orleans, I'm excited to watch Desmond Ridder and see what he could do. But, PJ is going to go with the Saints. This is a tough one for me because the Saints have been not great, and they've been not great at home as well. So, this one's tough, but I'm going to have to take my guy, Desmond Ridder. I'm going to take Atlanta in this one. Next one up that we have, PJ, we have Detroit at New York for the Jets. What do you got?
Detroit's not fooling anyone anymore. I read a good article yesterday about Dan Campbell, their coach, who was a former player for years of coach. They're not taking any. No one's taking the Lions light anymore. They should win, even though they're playing at the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, this one to me, honestly, I think it could be a better game than some people might give it credit for. And yet, I mean, here we are with a team like Detroit, and I think that they have more out there for them. I think there's more that they have healthy-wise, which is going to help them out in this game. Jamal Williams, listen, made a believer out of me that he is a good fantasy guy. Here he's done some good things, so I'm going to have to go with Detroit. I mean, listen, I do think the Jets have some good things this year. I think they've done some good things this year, but at the same time, they're dealing with a lot of injury right now, and I like Garrett Wilson. I still think he's out there worth the play in fantasy football. I like Mike White. I like his fight, and I want him to be 100%. But that's another question: is he 100%? So I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions in the matchup as well. Pittsburgh at Carolina, a team that's found their quarterback of the future against a team that doesn't know any more about their quarterback situation than they knew going into the season.
Well, I guess Pickett is hurt. I'm not sure he's going to play the game. And again, another quarterback is hurt. And Trubisky came in, looked awful. So
yeah,
they're in a pickle. If Pickett can't play, and they bring in Trubisky, who played awful last time, the Panthers have got a chance. But Mike Tomlin's not going to let this game get away. It's just the Steelers.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, in this case, a concussion, God willing, Kenny Pickett and everybody that's injured gets better and stays well here. I'm going to have to pick the Steelers over Carolina because the Panthers are bad enough that even without, the Steelers having their quarterback again, I got to go with the Steelers in this game. So, we'll see where we go from here. Now, the next one that we have up, Dallas at Jacksonville, my Super Bowl. God willing, I will be on site on location for. So, Lord, may the weather not be that bad. Help us to get up there. The snow, the ice, may it not hold anybody down. Dallas at Jacksonville. What do you have, PJ?
Well, I think we both would like to see Jacksonville win a game. I just hope that they were competitive. I don't want to see a runaway. I think the Cowboys they have a little bit too much for the team, and I'm not going to pick the Jaguars because of that. I think the Dallas is just too good of a team right now. They got a lot to play for too, and the Jags are still trying to find themselves. Although they sure found themselves last weekend. Gosh, almighty damn! They played a hell of a game. But this is Dallas, I think, Daniel.
Yeah, I got to go with the Cowboys in this one too. You know, they're a good team. You know, they made Minnesota look like a little peewee team. So I got to go with the Cowboys. I would love to see this game get in the 30s, and all I want to see is a great game. I want to see a great game. Whoever wins, I win. So I just want to see a great game. I want to see great competition. I want to see both of my teams duke it out, and just want this to come down to the last possession. I'm gonna pick the Cowboys and Jacksonville. Let's make it fun. By the way, folks, those Jacksonville Jaguars tickets, people talk about how cheap they've been over the years. Tickets for this game, lowest ticket you can find from what I'm seeing, $129, which is a lot higher than most. Actually, if you look at all of the games this week, if you look at every single game this week, there's only 2 games that are that have at the lowest ticket price be more expensive than the Jaguars-Cowboys game. That is $172 for New England at Vegas and $154 for Cincinnati at Tampa. So the third highest priced low ticket is Dallas at Jacksonville. Congrats on being in the top 3. That's my Super Bowl. Kansas City at Houston. PJ, what do you got?
This isn't a contest, Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean, Kansas City. This is one of the ones where it's just like, say it, said it, move on. Arizona at Denver. A team without their starting quarterback and a team with their starting quarterback that doesn't look like himself at all this season, PJ. Where can we go in a game where Arizona's banged up and Denver just seemingly has not, still to this point, 15 weeks in, has not gotten comfortable in the season at all? This is a tough one. I hate to bring down the coach of Denver. I know he's a buddy of yours, but they're not very well coached this year. And Russell Wilson, I have no clue what he's doing or where he's at. Maybe he's just not happy with the offensive coordinator or the play caller. It just isn't working for them. I don't know how long they can hang in there with the coaching staff and everything. And the Cardinals, of course, lost Kyler Murray, and Colt McCoy came in and did a good job. I think Cardinals can upset this team. I think they can win. Yeah, this has been really hard for me to see. You know, with Nate being such a good friend, I'm going to pick Arizona in this game, but I really hope they figure it out in Denver. I hope they find where the issues are, assess them, and get this thing working and moving. And I hope that they give him some time. You know, he's a first-time NFL head coach. And I feel like people want him to win. You know, it's just in today's world, you don't have enough time to go to the bathroom, for goodness sake. So I hope they just give him a little more time. New England at Las Vegas. What do you got, PJ?
This would be a good one. I think Mac Jones is starting to really heat it up. Derek Carr is a lot better quarterback than he's showing. With Devontae Adams' henchman there, I think that they can upset them this game here.
So you got the Raiders.
Yes.
All right, PJ's going with the Raiders. I'm gonna go with this is a tough one for. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go with the Raiders. I was going back and forth, but I'm gonna go with Vegas in this. Being at home, I think they can get the victory. Hopefully, Josh Jacobs is able to go. Tennessee at Los Angeles. Chargers. What is going to happen in this game? Will the Chargers will they help out the Jaguars in this one?
Well, this will be a good game. This is 2 really good quarterbacks. The only difference is the Titans have got that massive running back, Derrick Henry. If he controls the ball and controls the game, it's going to be a long, long afternoon for San Diego, even if they get the ball.
Yeah.
I look for Tennessee to play smart here, run out the clock, and win this game.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Tennessee Titans in this matchup. If they were to lose, does help out Jacksonville, but got to go game by game and be impartial. Love my Jaguars, but Tennessee's not a bad team. Cincinnati at Tampa. What do you have for this one?
Joe Burrow coming to visit Tom Brady. How about that? I don't know what happened. Brady didn't look that bad the other night. I mean, I think he completed something like 35 passes out of 54 attempts, some ridiculous number like that. But they sure weren't putting a plan together to beat, to win.
Yeah.
I like Joe Burrow. I think they got a really, really good team. And I don't think Tampa's defense can stop this kid. I think he's going to put up 4 or 5 touchdowns in this game. Cincinnati.
Yeah, I'm going with Cincinnati in this one too. They haven't looked, Tampa hasn't looked good. They're the keepers of first place in a division that does not have a team with a winning record. I'm going with Cincinnati in this. Giants at Commanders. The Commanders had a week off in between. They played the Giants 2 weeks ago, so they will play them again on their schedule. It says Giants, because they had that bye week in between. So these teams playing each other in division for the second time in 3 weeks. They tied the last time at 20. What do you got for this one, PJ? Giants at Commanders.
Oh, I like Daniel Jones. I think he's going to be a real good quarterback. I like the Giants in this one.
Yeah, this one's tough for me. This one's a tough pick for sure, because the Commanders are that team that you can never quite figure out. But I'm going to go with the Giants on the road in this matchup. Los Angeles at Green Bay. This was supposed to be a game that had playoff implications. This was supposed to be a game of 2 strong quarterbacks, 2 of the best in the league at the time. What it's turned into is a Green Bay team that's and a Rams team that is awful. What do you have for this one, PJ? Well, I shouldn't say they're awful. Baker Mayfield had a great week this past week, but a Rams team whose overall record is not great.
Baker Mayfield has the ability to carry a team, just like Aaron Rodgers. And Baker Mayfield can be contagious. If they get on a roll, and he throws the ball pitching the ball all over the park, like Steve Spurrier used to say, Green Bay's got a hard time beating them. This is a tough one for me, too. But I think I like Green Bay mainly because of Rodgers and they're playing at home. And who knows what kind of weather you're going to get, too. If it's snowing, if it's foot snowing in Buffalo, you can sure that the Great Lakes is going to be snowing up there in Green Bay, too. But I'm going to pick the Packers.
Yeah, listen, I don't trust the Rams right now, so it's hard for me to pick them. And let's be real, PJ, you're picking the Packers because you got to sit next to Mary T on the couch. So
that's right.
Final note here, PJ. Anything you want to say about? I know we can't get into all of them, but any note or two on Major League Baseball as some more moves have happened in the offseason?
Well, that's a show in itself right there. I took off for another hour on the Major League Baseball, but they're throwing the money around, and of course it all has to do with making the money. And all of these big market teams have a huge cable contract that they're playing. I think that Carlos Carrera was a pretty good move, but you're talking $2 and $3 and $400,000 contracts. And one thing that bothers me is that they're allowing these contracts to go into the late 30s and early 40s of age-wise, and I don't see how these players can keep that up. I don't know Carlos Carrera can be the kind of shortstop that he's going to be now as compared to when he's 40 years old. I don't know that. Right now, there's some talk about one of the best shortstops in the league, and maybe you don't hear about him too much, but I do. It's Brandon Crawford of the Giants. And Crawford knows he's going to have to move over. So with Carrera coming in, probably Crawford will take third base, and 2 of the best fielding infielders, period, in the National League are going to be right there on the right side of the infield. So, without me going too deep into everything, I think I like the Noah Syndergaard signing with the Dodgers. Syndergaard was one of my favorite players when he was with the Mets. Unfortunately, he got hurt, hasn't bounced back yet.
Yeah,
I think that the Dodgers can help him. I like that trade. That's about all for me today, Daniel.
That coming from PJ. PJ, we appreciate you being here with us. He's on the mend. Keep your prayers going for Papa Joe and Mary T and everybody that needs them. And let's face it, folks, everybody needs a little prayer today. So I want to finish this, PJ, by doing that. So I'm going to say a prayer here with you as we close out our conversation on today's broadcast. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. God, I want to thank you for our lives today. I want to thank you that we woke up today. May we never stop appreciating the blessing it is just to get up and have the opportunity to have a problem because we're alive. May our loved ones and us be healthy, safe, and happy all the days of our lives. May we have your gifts to do your will and be well. And whether we're traveling, staying put, or both, may we have a wonderful day, wonderful night, and so on. And may our day, night, and so on be long, fun, and go by slowly. Please forgive us of our sins and help us to always be connected to our loved ones, even in death. In Jesus' proud name we pray. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. PJ, praying for you, loving you up, and I'm hoping to see you soon.
Okay, see you Sunday. Bye-bye.
Take care. That coming from Papa Joe here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We're going to take a quick step aside on the broadcast, and we'll be back with Gene Waldron here in hour number 2. So stay with us here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. Can't thank you enough for being here with us every Monday through Friday from 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern Time.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafekubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Kubal needs. Cafe Kubal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora here inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We appreciate you being here where sports meets life. Cafe Kubal located on 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse. On the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in North Syracuse and their drive-through location, and on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius. With that being said, we are inside of MonPawsPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. You heard from Papa Joe. Coming up here now in hour number 2, Gene Waldron. Gene Waldron joining us here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in that history of Syracuse Orange men's basketball. Cannot tell you how much I appreciate Gene. There's not enough time in the day to talk about that because we have become friends over the years and brothers, and I appreciate him so very much. So to my family, to my brother, to my dude whose wife makes the best food that I see on Facebook. What's up, Gene? How we doing?
I'm good.
So Mr. Waldron, Syracuse played Georgetown for the 12th time in the last decade, this just a few days ago, about a week ago. And seeing them, the only time they haven't played between, I think, 2012, 13, and now was in 2014, and then in the COVID year of 2020. Bring me into the Syracuse-Georgetown rivalry, and if you still believe to this day that it's the biggest rivalry for Syracuse even now.
I truly believe that it is. I mean, because it's always been that way, especially when the Big East was still alive. It's not as aggressive as it used to be. Because when I played, we were we ready to fight. But I still think it is. The games are always high profile, especially through the media and stuff like that. But it's always a big thing. And the way that we beat them this time, I was loving that.
Well, and that's the thing, having a big time victory over them. What's it like to look across and see Patrick Ewing coaching the team?
Oh, I tell you what, me and my wife, we were sitting there, we were looking at him. She was like, "Oh, I don't like Patrick Ewing." I was like, "You know what? I don't like him either, but he's a good dude." The rivalry is one thing, but as a person, he's a good dude. But I remember playing back in my day, there was no love lost between us back in the 80s. It was no love lost. But the Patrick's a good dude. But to see him coaching, knowing that he was a player when I played, and he's coaching, and Coach Boeheim used to tell us how we had to defend him, and now he's coaching, it's a big deal. It really is a big deal.
For you, Gene, when you said, obviously Patrick playing when you were playing, what are your memories of Patrick Ewing on the court?
Oh, I had to bring my brother into this.
Yeah.
Pearl. When he threw that punch at Pearl, we were ready. We were like, "Yo, let's wait for him after the game. We'll get him." That's how serious it was. But Patrick was he was a great player. He played tough. And that incident with him and Pearl. And I also remember when I knew that we were going to lose to them, and one time he went up for a shot, I fouled him. I fouled him really hard, and it was crazy. He looked at me, he's like, "Gene." I was like, "Yeah, Patrick, that's how it is." I was like, "That's how it is." But I'll never forget that, playing in Madison Square Garden. We were going to lose that game. And I fouled him so hard. He looked at me like, "Gene, really?" I was like, "Yeah, Patrick, that's how it is."
And, that moment, like you said, in that moment, when you said, "Yeah, Patrick, that's how it is," was any part of you terrified in that moment where you're like, "Yeah, take that, Patrick"? Did you kind of see, what was that like for you? What were you, go back to the emotions of him saying, "Really, Gene," and you being like, "Yeah, that's how it is."
You know what? I went back to I got Andre Hawkins. Andre Hawkins was our center, and Andre never backed down from Patrick. All the years he played against him, I was like, "Well, I got Andre. He'll battle you. He'll come after you." And then I had the teammates. It was just that rival we had. It's hard to explain that there was something about Georgetown when they played us and we played them that it was so intense. But after the game, it was always love. It was always love.
And so you say it was always love after the game, but there was that game where he threw the punch at Pearl and y'all were ready to get him outside. What happened? Why did you not find him outside? Like what give me the string of events to we're going to find him after the game to there wasn't some massive fight after the game.
Well, I think you have to go to. For us, it was like Pearl, myself, Andre, Raphael. We're from Jersey, New York City, North, Long Island, Georgetown, Washington D.C. You know, it was always Baltimore. It was always that thing of like cities. And we were like, you fouling, you're swinging on Pearl.
Yeah.
He's one of the greatest players that ever been at Syracuse. You're doing that to that dude, we're going to get you. We thought about it, but we didn't do it. Because it was always love after the game, though, you know?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Patrick, I mean, I've interviewed Patrick. I interviewed him about, I don't know if I ever told you this, but after Pearl had passed away, because Pearl and I had built a nice friendship. And I remember the last time I was in the car, well, there's two stories. So the last time I was in the car with Pearl, he was living in his apartment. I picked him up, and we were driving, and we did, and I never knew this was the last things we were going to do together, but we did like a Central New York tour. And so I did 3 shows with him in 3 different locations, one of them being Carvel DeWitt. And so we went to these 3 different locations, and we did these shows together, and we were supposed to do a 4th. And then I didn't really hear from him, and then I think, he ended up passing away, within a year or so of that, and I had not known that he had gotten sick again right away. And I remember the last time we were in the car, I know exactly where I was. I was right off of John Glenn, and I'm driving. And he said, I wanna thank you. And I was like, thank you. I said, Pearl, I can't believe. I said, do you know how many people want to sit in my car right now? How many people would want to sit next to you in the car right now, being like, I'm driving around with Pearl? And I'm sitting in my car with Pearl, and he said, we've done enough of these shows. He goes, we're not friends anymore. He goes, I'm not going to call you a friend. He said, we're family. He's like, you're my brother.
I remember that. I remember you telling me that before. I remember that.
And
I remember that, man. I remember you telling me that years ago. I remember that.
And I'll never forget that he looked at me, and I know exactly where I was when he said, we're more like brothers. And I'll never, ever forget that moment with Pearl. I mean, and I just knew him as the guy that, I mean, I remember when Boeheim lost 101 wins, I remember Pearl called me, and I asked him, or no, did I call him or he called me? I might have called him, I can't even remember. But we called one of us called the other one, and we were talking, and it was like, what are you doing? We met for lunch at Ruby Tuesdays at Destiny USA when it was there, and we had lunch that day, and he was like crying emotional over the fact that they did that to Boeheim. And
you know what? A lot of people don't know about Pearl. I mean, he was global, but he was the nicest, greatest person that I ever met. I mean, when we played with each other, we didn't get along. When we played with each other, we didn't get along. But after school, we became such close friends. And I don't know if you've seen some of the interviews that I've done about him. It's hard. It's hard for me. So when I went to that Georgetown game, this past week, and to listen to and see him, and it was extremely hard for me, because me and him became such great friends.
Yeah.
Such great friends. And even now, as I'm speaking to you, I'm starting to tear up. Oh, my God. Oh, jeez.
Well,
wow.
And I mean, that's the thing, Gene, because you and I were talking about, this and honoring Pearl. And like you said, you guys didn't. So bring me into that. You didn't get along when you played together, because obviously you're both in the backcourt. You both want to have the ball in your hands.
Exactly.
You want to bring. So how did you navigate that? Like, what was it like in practice? What was it like in the game? Do you remember times in games where, like, one of you, in a way, maybe even, like, told somebody else, hey, when you go out of bounds, give the ball to me, don't give it to him? Like...
Oh, no. Games, when we played, it was fine. Okay. Practice was a problem.
Okay.
Because I was busting my ass every day. I was trying to bust my ass. And Pearl didn't so much. And I think Coach had a lot to do with that, because he got away with it.
Yeah.
But Pearl was that great that it didn't matter. but to see him with that basketball, I used to stand there watching with that basketball. I was like, oh my God, this guy is incredible with a ball. It was incredible. And then afterwards, we just became close. We started to talk about our the time that we played with each other, and then we talked about our lives, and what we been through and stuff. And I think that's what brought us really close together. And it was important for the both of us to do that.
Yeah, and like you said, you got close afterwards. How did you navigate? Like, bring me into, you didn't get along on in games you were fine, but you didn't get along in practice, and you both wanted the ball, and you both wanted to bring it up. You both wanted to be floor generals. So you have that in practice, and you have that when you're playing together. How did you guys reconnect? When did you reconnect after playing together? Was it quick? Was it a long time after? And what happened that created the friendship?
I think it was us just talking. We started talking. I met him. He met me at times. He came up for games while I was there. We just talked. And I think that's what was the key. We talked a lot. I'm not going to get into a lot of things that we talked about, but we just talked. And we saw each other differently than being on a basketball court. And I think that was the key.
And when you had that time to talk with each other and whatnot, what was it that just made you guys kind of click to the point where whatever, practice was back in the day that it went away? Did you have a moment or two where one of you looked at each other and said, just kind of laughed about it and said, hey, we used to want to kill each other in practice, and now we can sit back at a game and just kind of have time together? I mean, was there ever a moment where you reflected on it and said, wow, over the years here, we really have gone from being, mortal enemies in practice to being friends here, watching the game? Did you have any of those reflective moments with him?
We did, but I think it came down to us just being honest with each other. At the end of the day, it came down to us being honest with each other. And I think that's what worked.
That coming from Gene Waldron, Syracuse Orange men's basketball alum. Speaking on Pearl, well, the Ring of Honor comes about. Pearl isn't here for it. His name was already up there, but Pearl.
My dude, Pearl, my dude.
To the people that were representing Pearl, his family and his loved ones, what was it like seeing them on the floor? And is there anybody within his inner circle that you still connect with today?
Well, his sister, who wasn't at the game, she wasn't at the game, but his son, I connected with him, which was great. I mean, we had a hug, and we could. The hug was so strong. We wouldn't let go each other. I mean, the hug was so strong. Seeing his son there was huge. For me, seeing his son was probably the biggest thing.
And I've had the opportunity to speak with his son as well over the last few years. What can you say about Pearl's son and maybe how you would describe him to some people that don't know him?
Well, he carries his dad's legacy. He looks like his dad. And he's just a good person. And that's what Pearl was, a good person. And his son is a good person.
Yeah, coming from Gene Waldron here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Gene, Big East, ACC, Syracuse is about to have their 10-year anniversary, believe it or not, of being in the ACC. Yet, when I got up last Saturday for this game, I felt different. I was amped. I felt like it was Christmas morning. I felt like something big was going to happen. I felt like it literally felt like when you're going on a date with a girl that you've asked out a bunch of times and she finally said yes.
My man.
That's what it felt like. When I got up for Syracuse Georgetown, I had the chills. I had those good chills. I had those, that feeling of that chill on your shoulders. I had that I was so excited, so amped. It's the one thing I was thinking about. It was on my mind. It was like a holiday. It was like going on a date, like I said. It was one of those moments where you were just feeling some kind of different. Syracuse hasn't been in the Big East in almost a decade, yet to me, Syracuse-Georgetown is the only rivalry that Syracuse has. Do you agree? Do you disagree? How did you wake up last Saturday? Because, Gene, I'm telling you right now, if you put a jersey on me, I feel like I would have scored 30 in that game.
Dan, I so agree. I woke up that morning, I was like, I had my breakfast, I had my eggs, bacon, and all that. And my wife is like, what's wrong with you? I was like, today's the day. It's Georgetown, Syracuse. And then my wife, she's singing. She's like, I hate Georgetown. I'm like, I don't hate Georgetown. I said, but it's a rivalry, honey. She's screaming. She's like, I hate Georgetown. Let's go. We were going crazy and stuff. My dogs are looking at me like, Dad, what's wrong with you? I was like, it's Georgetown, Syracuse. You have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you the last time, Gene, I woke up and I felt like that about a game. Like, when I got up for that game, I was like, it's Syracuse-Georgetown. I don't care what anybody says. And I tell people this all the time. And I'm going to ask you this question. I feel like I've asked you this before. I'm going to ask you it again, though. Who's Duke's rival?
North Carolina.
Who's North Carolina? Who's Duke's like true rival? If you had to pick one,
I would say North Carolina.
Who's North Carolina's rival?
Duke.
Who's Syracuse's rival in the ACC?
Nah, there's none.
Right.
There really isn't, in my opinion.
Right. So
Syracuse Georgetown is a major rival in my heart. When you say Georgetown, I did an interview the other day, last week, about Georgetown. I was like, I'm going to get angry right now. I said, but I can keep my cool.
Well, and, so I tell people this. I do it all the time. I go, who's Duke's rivalry? North Carolina. Who's North Carolina's rivalry? Duke. Who's Syracuse rivalry in the ACC? And people are like, I don't know, probably Duke. And I say, okay, so Syracuse is the mistress of the ACC. I don't like that. To me, it's like Syracuse is the side chick. Like that to me, no. Like Syracuse, Georgetown, and don't you feel like this, Gene? When you see UConn, Villanova, St. John's, all these teams that, UConn, Villanova, St. John's, Georgetown, all playing at the Garden, playing there, at MSG, doing their thing. Doesn't it feel like the Big East is having a party and Syracuse is the only one that didn't get invited? Like, it looks like the band is back together. It's like if the Beatles got back together and they forgot Ringo. You know what I mean?
I so feel that. Because when I see these teams playing against each other, I'm going, first thing that comes to mind is the Big East. That Big East was incredible back in the 80s. It's no longer.
Yeah, I mean,
you think about the ACC. I don't really care for it too much.
Well,
I really don't.
And the thing is, Gene, is that like it feels some kind of way with me. You know what I mean? Because like I went to the Big East tournament earlier this year, and so at the end of the 2021, right, but and I want to tell you something though. They put up on the screen. They said, "Here are the best moments in Big East history," and they did a montage. I wanted to cry because here's Jim Boeheim and Syracuse down the road at the Barclays Center, right? And I'm filming this video, or I'm looking at this video at Madison Square Garden, sitting in my seat courtside, looking up at the video at MSG, and here is Syracuse, Jim Boeheim, and when they show the greatest moments of Big East tournament history, they still show Syracuse to this day. And I literally sat there and I was like, God, this ain't right. I was like, this isn't right. It's not right. Syracuse is right down the road. I actually said if Syracuse loses in the ACC tournament, can they come play in the Big East tournament? Like, but Gene, I mean, when they say greatest moments of Big East history, and you still see Syracuse on the Jumbotron, and you see Jim Boeheim up there, and you hear the audio playback of these games, like the Big East still shows that love, and I just feel like it's like it's like two lovers, ships passing in the night. It's like the Big East put out a beacon saying, Syracuse, we still think about you. And I just, why can't Syracuse enter the transfer portal and go to the Big East is what I want to know.
it's so amazing that you say that, Dan, because I saw that and I'm like, wow, those were the days. And Syracuse is not in the Big East. And you think of some of the teams that are there, it's not like what it was in the 80s. It's insane to me. Yeah. But, you know, they went to the ACC for a reason, and I don't know why.
Well, it comes down to football, it comes down to money. And
I didn't want to say that.
But when did you see the Big East montage video that I'm talking about? Were you at the tournament?
No, I'm sitting at home looking at it on TV. I saw it on TV. I'm like, Are you serious?
Yeah, because they're still in there.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
Because I was thinking, like, you know, I mean, not that you don't erase history, but like if the Big East is trying to promote itself today, I'm like, oh, they're not going to show Syracuse. They're not going to promote Syracuse.
They did.
And
they showed it on TV.
Yeah.
I'm looking, I'm like, really?
Yeah, and you see those moments, and it does. But Gene, I mean, like, I can't. It's no offense to the ACC. I love the ACC. I love being a part of it. I love the people in the organization. They've been fantastic to me. I love the Big East. I love the people in that organization, and they've been fantastic to me. If you're asking me as a human being who has broadcasted for over 19 years, Syracuse, when you tell me Syracuse, Georgetown, I think Yankees, Red Sox. I think Duke, North Carolina. Those are the games I think about, you know, Florida, Florida State. I think about those games. When you tell me Syracuse, Georgetown, that to me is like, it's that heat. It spans beyond college. It spans beyond the sport of basketball. It's a like you teach your kids and your kids' kids and your kids' kids' kids that they never wear gray on game day, and they tell their kids you don't wear orange. Like if you're walking around in DC and you're wearing Syracuse orange, somebody's looking at you some kind of way. If you're in Syracuse wearing Georgetown Hoyas anything, a lot of people are going to ask you if you're going to the airport, because if you're not, you should be. Like, I mean, there's no love between these two. And Gene, I'm telling you, man, Saturday morning I woke up like, I haven't felt that feeling in forever, dude. And I'm like, come on, like, we got to keep this rivalry going. And I believe this. If Syracuse played 31 regular season games and they lost 30 of them, but they beat Georgetown, fans would still have some comfort in that. Yeah.
And you know what's so funny? There was a family walking up the stairs, and when I was at the Georgetown at the game,
yeah,
and I'm looking at them, they had Georgetown stuff on. I'm looking at them like, I was like, are you serious? You know where you at? It was crazy, though. It was crazy. I actually looked at him. I was like, whoa, you're not supposed to do that. But, you know, you have Georgetown fans everywhere in the world. You have Syracuse fans anywhere in the world. And that's why the rivalry is so big to me. Because if you mention Syracuse and say, what's the one team? They will mention Georgetown.
Yeah.
They will always mention Georgetown.
So why don't we start a new conference and just make sure the first two teams are Syracuse and Georgetown? You know?
Exactly. Let's do it. Me and you.
Let's do it. Co-commissioners of whatever the heck we want to call this thing. So, and I said, if it's not a rivalry, then why after every game, no matter who Syracuse plays, after every game in the Dome, at the end of the game, what does the band play? Whether we win or lose, and no matter, we could be playing Binghamton, we could be playing Bryant, we could be playing Northeastern. What do they say at the end of it? The last thing the band says, they play it and they go, and Georgetown still sucks. After every game. After every game.
Dan, you know what? I had so many people text me, you know Georgetown still sucks. I said, yeah, but it's still love.
Right.
And so many people said to me, Georgetown still sucks. My wife, you know Mrs. Waldron, she don't play.
Yeah.
She's like, Georgetown still sucks.
Yeah.
You should have seen her at the game. She's screaming at me. I said, honey, they can't hear you, baby. She's screaming at them. I said, honey, they can't hear you.
I love that. I love that. And you know what? I do know Mrs. Waldron, and I would not mess with Mrs. Waldron. Is all I'm gonna say.
I feel you.
So, Gene, final note here, and we obviously, we got to be doing something soon because I love talking to you on the phone, but we I like it a lot more when we're sitting in the same place.
Right.
Final note here: Syracuse's current season, at the time we're talking, 7-4. Your advice to the team right now, and I would love for you to get personal, like go, your advice to the team, but then to go a little bit deeper into, your advice to Symir Torrance and Judah Mintz as they are the ball handlers.
Just play together. That's it. Play together. Nobody's perfect. There's going to be mistakes. Just play together. Be the leaders. Because if those two aren't the leaders, we're not going to go far.
Yeah.
Play together. Just play together. That's all they have to do. Play together. Distribute the ball to people who can score, i.e. the big guy. Give him the ball inside. Give him the ball. Give him the ball. That's all I'm saying. Give him the ball. And play defense. Because Judah could score.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. He's a great scorer. But what he did the Georgetown game proved to me that he can pass.
Yeah.
Because before that, I've gone, this dude's just trying to score all the points he can. He can pass the ball. Do that. Give it to the big guy. And Torrance he's going to be him. He's a great player. He's going to be him. He distributes the ball. Just somebody's got to be the leader.
Do you think there is one right now?
I'm not sure. I think Torrance is more than Judah because Judah could score. I think Torrance is more of a leader than him. But if those two come together on terms of if we can lead this team, we can go far because it's a young team, and they will listen. But you have to have a leader. You have to, otherwise you don't win. You
have to have a leader, otherwise you don't win. Great note to end on.
You don't, because you know what? Coach Boeheim is going to be who he is. You know, Coach has been this way for like 40-something, 30-something years. You do something, I will yank you. You're coming out. But if you got that leader who he understands and he feels safe with, he'll let you go. But, Coach, you don't worry about Coach. Be a leader for the team. Be a leader for the team.
If you don't have a leader, you don't win. Gene Waldron.
There's no way. No way. And you know what? Coach always told me that. And like he said, he's like, I am who he's going to scream. He's going to yank you out the game. But if he's got that leader, he will let you go. He will let you play. He won't take you out because he knows he's got a leader. And I don't know if we have that yet. But we're going to find out. ACC is right around the corner.
Yeah. And Jim was not feeling it. Even though they beat Monmouth, he was not feeling it in that game. So he was not feeling it.
Coach is I'm not going to say he's a perfectionist, but he expects so much out of his players. He don't recruit you because you can't play. He recruits you because you can play. And when you don't play the way that he expects, you got a problem. Right. And when he stops talking to you, you're done. You're done.
Yeah. No, and it's, I'm excited. We got a game this weekend. Cornell pushed Miami to the brink. So we will see what happens coming up here very soon. Gene Waldron, I hope the next time that you and I speak, it is in person. I love talking with you, as always. My brother, my family, my dude, my guy, and always appreciate having a good laugh and some deep conversation. Gene Waldron, there is nobody in my world that can ever take your place. I hope you know that.
I appreciate that, Dan. It means a lot. And you know what I'm talking about. It means a lot. It means a lot coming from you. It means a lot. And we can't, if we lose to Cornell, come on now. Come on.
I feel you.
We can't lose to them. Come on.
Yeah, we won't talk about Colgate, Gene. I'm not going to bring that up.
Oh, I didn't even want to mention that. I knew it was the C. I wasn't going to mention that.
Yeah. Yeah, not going to talk about the fact that Colgate has a winning streak against Syracuse right now. So, with that being said, Mr. Waldron.
Hey, Dan, we
What?
used to beat them on the regular in my day.
54 straight times, Gene.
We used to kill them.
Yeah.
It just goes to show about basketball now, you know?
Yeah.
Just goes to show. All right, my brother, I'm out.
All right. All right, Gene, say hi to the dog, say hi to Mrs. Waldron, and you let her know that I'm not going to say nothing about Georgetown in a positive way around her. I'm going to be nice. I'm always nice to the teams, but if I was sitting with Mrs. Waldron, I'd be like, I'm just going to let her go be herself. So
I got you, my dude. Love you. Bye-bye.
Love you too. See you. That coming from Gene, I love that. I'm done. I'm out. That was awesome. That was awesome. That was awesome with Gene. That was great. I'm done. I'm out. That was great. What a way to exit, you know? You know? Thank you, my man. Love you. Bye-bye. I'm out. So we'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll come back in the Cafe Kubal studios, wrap things up with a trio of conversations that I had after Syracuse got to 7-4. Those conversations with Jim Boeheim, the head coach, assistant coach, associate head coach, I should say, Adrian Autry, and sophomore forward Benny Williams right after this. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily, and we bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our
corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, hanging out with you where sports meets that thing called life. Appreciate you so much for being here with us every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So many thanks and much appreciation for that on YouTube.com, Facebook.com, and MixLR.com, all / Wake Up Call DT. So however you're connecting with the show, thank you so much worldwide. And of course, you can also catch us by going to youtube.com / Wake Up Call. Or pardon me, I already said that. So there you go. YouTube, Facebook, MixLR.com, all / Wake Up Call DT. That's what happens when you're multitasking. WakeUpCallDT.com and on Facebook.com / Live Now DT. So with that being said, I have the opportunity to speak with you with a trio of Syracuse Orange men's basketball representatives. Kevin, thank you for all your positive messages here. Greg as well, and thank you to everybody who's shown some love and sent some love over. I have 3 conversations coming out of Syracuse, advancing to a record of 7-4 on the season. We're going to start off those conversations with the head coach of the Syracuse Orange men's basketball team, that being Jim Boeheim in year number 47. 4 would be great, right? When you're a head coach, you're like, yeah, I've been a head coach in the same place for 4 years in today's day and age. 47 years he's been the head coach of Syracuse. Been there longer as a player, and then moving forward from there. Jim Boeheim, my Q&A with him, speaking with him on Jesse Edwards to get his thoughts on Jesse coming out of these first 11 games. Jesse has had 5 double-doubles so far, so I wanted to get Jim's thoughts on Jesse, and this is what he had to say about Jesse Edwards when we had the opportunity to speak with each other about Syracuse's center that has helped this team to a 7-4 record. Once again, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, here is Jim Boeheim in our Q&A. Jim, Jesse, 5 double-doubles so far this season. Just what you can say about his playing side.
Yeah, he's been good. This was a tough game. This is the first game in a while that people were just physical with him, and he has trouble with that. So he's got to keep working on that. But he was really good defensively second half. Really good. He has to go get rebounds that our forward should get. It's sad. It's really sad.
Jim noting there at the end, he's got to go get the rebounds that our forward should get. It's sad. It's really sad. He also brought up for the second time that I can remember here this season where he's made mention that Chris Bell, the true freshman forward, has not gotten rebounds for the team and that it's something he wants him to do. He's now said it publicly multiple times. I think he's trying to share a message with Chris, and we'll see how Chris responds as we step forward here in the season and as the team steps into their next game, which is over the weekend on Saturday against Cornell. With that being said, having our time to speak with Jim Boeheim, we'll now move on to the conversation that I had the opportunity of having many conversations over the years, and we've done some shows together just like we have done with Gene, and that is my conversation with Adrian Autry, the associate head coach of the team and former player on the squad. Here's my conversation with Adrian coming off of this team's 7-4 start. We talk about a lot of different pieces, and I'm very excited to share those with you right here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. What's your thoughts on Chris Bell so far? I know Jim wants him to get more rebounds out there. Just what you're taking away from him.
He's a freshman learning, trying to adjust to what we're doing. I think my whole group is like that, and it's not just Chris. Our forward group is just not on the defensive side of the ball right now, just not doing the things that we need to do to win at a high level. So we just got to kind of keep working on that and pushing that, and hopefully, we'll start seeing some improvements as we start to hit this home stretch, of get into league play. So just got to tighten those things up and keep working. But overall, they trying. It's just it's just take some time. I guess.
Benny Williams, 13 points in back-to-back games. He's got double digits in 4 games this season, scoring. Just what you're taking away from his shot and some of the things he's doing offensively.
Well, I mean, it's funny. He's obviously, the 2 back-to-back, like you said, double-digit performances. But you just always, with him, he has so much talent. You think you can get some more things, and he's getting better. He's getting comfortable. We just gotta get him up to speed. There's still some plays out there, some other opportunities on both ends that I think he can make, and we got to try to get him to see those. Obviously, 2 back-to-back games of double digits is definitely a good start.
Malik Brown getting off the bench, just what he's been able to do these last couple games. I know Jim said he moved Benny to the 3 to get Malik out there. Just what you've seen from him.
He's been doing really well in practice, and every time he stepped on the court, has made some nice plays. Rebounding, finishing around the rim. And I think he just kind of got to keep doing those things and learning our system and keep working, which he does. He's very talented. I think he's obviously a really good passer. It was good to see him improve his shooting. He's improved it already. I think he was 2 for 4 today or something like that from the free throw line. I'm not sure, but that's an improvement. So a guy that just kind of keeps getting better.
And then as far as Bull, I know I spoke with him about coming off a center and moving into the forward position. What do you like about his play right now?
Bull brings energy, plays the position, he knows the position. I think he does a good job of kind of showing our younger guys of how the position is supposed to be played, and then what we're trying to accomplish, offensively. And I think he does a great job of kind of setting that example for those guys.
He was in the portal and then came out of it. What made him come back and feel like he could find his place on this team?
I think, to be honest with you, talking to him, I think he just, wanted to come back and stay. I mean, I think sometimes, people go to the portal, it's not. Sometimes it depends on who goes, so the portal can be whatever, but it could be kind of hard to figure out at times. But he probably can answer that question better than I can, to be honest with you.
I have to ask you this because the rivalry's been so big over time and arguably one of the best, if not the best to a lot of people, but that Syracuse-Georgetown rivalry, when you look across and you see Patrick Ewing standing on the sideline looking as terrifying as he always does, I mean, just what you could say about that rivalry and what it means. And I think from 2012 to now here in 2022, there's only been 2 years where Syracuse hasn't played Georgetown. It was 2014 and in the COVID year of 2020, just what that rivalry means and how important it is, even though it's not in conference.
It's always important, especially for me growing up, playing in the Big East, and that was a big part of what you look forward to when you came to Syracuse. So it's always, a special place in my heart and memories to have that. And I think, obviously our fan base and the community, they look forward to it. I think both fan bases and communities look forward to that game. So it's always special to have that game and to play that game, and obviously to win the way we won this year felt really well.
Remembering Pearl, just what Pearl has meant, not just to this team, but to the community and to Syracuse.
I said this before. Someone asked me this, and this is no disrespect to any player that came before him, but for me personally, when I heard about Syracuse basketball, it was because of Pearl. Obviously know about him. I'm from New York City and watched him when he came up here. And, he was a big reason of why, I wanted to be a part of this. Just watching him and watching the community on TV back then and the excitement. So, I think he meant a lot. His name with our basketball program, it's very few names that are attached to it. And he's one of those names that, when you say his name, when you say Syracuse basketball, he's a name that comes up.
Can you still use that today on the recruiting trail to talk to guys out there about Pearl?
No, I think, that's is why a lot of times the parents know, so that's a conversation for the parents, and so they get a chance to kind of echo that when we do mention that and to the kids, their moms or dads will know, or someone in their family will know. So I think, that helps, that resonates.
That coming from Adrian Autry here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Speaking about Pearl, speaking about that rivalry with Georgetown and just what it means and what Pearl meant to him. And that beacon of hope for Adrian Autry and a beacon of, somebody to look up to. And like you said, you look at coming to Syracuse and knowing that Pearl was there, that's huge to have that legacy, and that's something that lives on forever. So I appreciate that very, very much so. And as someone looks to build their history at Syracuse, learning under Adrian Autry, Benny Williams, sophomore forward on the Syracuse Orange men's basketball team. Him and I have an opportunity to speak with one another here coming off of this game, and I'm always happy to talk with Benny. So in the third of our trio here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora this morning, you have the opportunity to hear from Benny Williams coming off of the 7-4 start and get his thoughts. And I love that he was very candid and very open about just being real on what he needs to work on and so much more. So tune in, hear what he has to say. Well, 13 points in back-to-back games, just what you can say about what you're doing offensively out there and how comfortable you kind of gotten.
Really comfortable with my jumper, as I was just telling everybody. Got to get to the rim more and get more free throw line jumpers. Defensive end is where we're gonna have to lock in it for us to win games down the stretch. So,
what has Coach been emphasizing when it comes to that defensive side of the ball and just what you guys need to do at this point?
Just staying alert, knowing where you're supposed to be. Just like, for example, they'll pass it down to the baseline and the weak side forward, including myself, might not come over, and then they'll get an easy layup or floater or something like that. We get beat on that a lot. So just focusing on little stuff like that. And rebounding, obviously, rebounding out of our area.
Talk about rebounding in this game on the same trip down on the offensive side. You went after it one-handed, went down hard, and then came over against Jesse, and Jesse missed the shot. You were able to score on that one as well. Just what you can say about your play around the rim and how you tried to be more physical there.
Yeah, I noticed that when I'm around the rim, good things happen, especially if I jump as high as I can jump. And not too many people can jump with me, so just got to be around the rim. Like, I think that's the key. Just be around the rim. Like Moo gets a tip shot every game. He's always there. Like, he's just always around the rim.
You talk about your jump shot. Where do you feel like it's at? I know you and I talked about it going into the season. How would you kind of assess yourself on your jump shot?
I think I need to put more work in it, just shooting off the fingertips every time. I've definitely gotten better with it, though, obviously. The numbers are telling, but always can be better, though. Always can be better.
You talked about getting inside. How do you want to balance your game out? Obviously, you take what the defense gives you, but from shooting beyond the arc to actually backing somebody down, where do you kind of want to live?
I got to notice mismatches. I got to notice who's guarding me, like how they're guarding me, reading situations, and obviously, honestly, where Jesse is too. Get him the ball sometimes and then cut off him because he's a great passer. He's shown that, so just got to trust him more too.
That coming from Benny. Love that. I love how real that is. You know, what he had to say about the things that he needed to do and realizing who's guarding him. You know, knowing his surroundings, knowing what's going on, knowing that situation in that moment, to not just go, oh, I'm going to shoot this jump shot because I want to shoot this jump shot, but, oh, okay, this guy's guarding me. This is where he's guarding me. This is how he's guarding me. This is his height on me. Do I have the height advantage? Do I back him down, or do I take this shot, or do I pass it off? He's learning. He's growing. And I really appreciate how open Benny's been with me. Just like, when him and I were talking about going into the season, I was like, how ridiculous was it hearing that, in the media, people were like, oh, is he going to leave? And was that ever true? And he's like, no. He's like, why would I leave? It was me. He said, I needed to grow. I needed to get better. Why would I go somewhere else with that? I got to learn here. So, it's great to hear that realness, in a world that needs to be real. It's great to see somebody being real with themselves and being open enough to share it here and share it with me. So thank you to Benny for that. We'll take a step aside for our final fast break, and we'll wrap up today's show. Get you set for Friday right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life, from inside of the Cafe Cubal studios.
Cafe Cubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cubal needs. Cafe Cubal, coffee for the soul.
This is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
Witty Wicks Candles and Gift Shop, Township 5 Camillus, where you will find handcrafted all-natural soy wax candles over 60 cents to freshen up your home. We carry a wide range of locally made items, Syracuse, Syracuse Salt, and Chocolate Pizza Company, to name a few. Let our knowledgeable staff help choose unique gifts and keepsakes for any occasion. Gifts for family and friends, and maybe a little something for yourself. Witty Wicks Candles and Gift Shop, Township 5 Camillus.
This is a special message from Merritt Brady, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Watertown on 1290 Arsenal Street in Watertown, New York.
Chick-fil-A for me has always been about the people. I think it starts with the strength and leadership of the Cathy family. It's just amazing to see a family-run business reach the altitude that they have. Second mile service is something that we embodied at my previous business, and the ability to make people feel like they're the only person at your establishment, that you are there to serve them that day and looking for those extra ways to make them happy, to anticipate what they need next is what makes me tick. And I'm going to have so many opportunities at Chick-fil-A to do that. It's one of my favorite things to eat in the world. My favorite application question or interview question when I'm interviewing is when I get to, have you ever eaten at Chick-fil-A? and a smile hits both their ears, they can't even answer the question for a second. And when I see that, it's like, man, that's going to be a great hire. They already get it. They already feel it. They already know that we're different. The Chick-fil-A experience, it's a real thing. And then, of course, just our generosity and community involvement and making a positive impact in the lives of our team members, our guests, and the community in general, I think is really the secret sauce.
Chick-fil-A Watertown on 1290 Arsenal Street in Watertown, New York. Coming to you fall 2022. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Cafe Kubal, 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse, on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in North Syracuse, and their drive-through location, and on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York. We'll see you out at all of those locations today and throughout the week. Head out to Cafe Kubal. A cup of coffee goes a long way, and when it's local, goes even further. So, cup of coffee, cup of tea, cup of chai. Put some peppermint in mine this week when I was out there at 343 Fayette Street with my guy Ryan Kabilis, the Director of Strength and Conditioning for Syracuse Orange Men's Basketball. So find your way out to Cafe Kubal today. Big thanks to my guests today, Papa Joe, Gene Waldron, Jim Boeheim, Adrian Autry, and Benny Williams inside of ModPawsPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. And Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora will be popping for you this Friday. Ooh, TGIF, get it, girl? What you know about it? So I never know what's going to come out of my mouth. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Oh, so it's youtube.com, facebook.com, and mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Facebook.com/live-now-DT and wakeupcalldt.com's homepage. Once the shows go live, you'll find us on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, TuneIn. All you have to do is type into any one of these outlets, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Thanks to our incredible partners, Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Witty Wicks, PB&J's Lunchbox, Avicoli's, Mon Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Mother's Cupboard, 317 at Montgomery Street Restaurant in downtown Syracuse, Honda City of Liverpool, Chick-fil-A Watertown, Pizza Man, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Chick-fil-A Cicero, and Chick-fil-A Clay. And of course, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. And it spins up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora with our opportunity to speak with you on the Dolphins and speak with the Dolphins. Every first and third Wednesday of each month is AD and DT, featuring Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora. Every second and fourth Wednesday, the Dolphin Dive, diving into the stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. You can check out all our content with Lemoyne by going to the Lemoyne tab on wakeupcalldt.com. Bunch of new stuff is going to be added there. YouTube.com has a bunch of new stuff added on YouTube. Subscribe to us on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and search our Lemoyne content on our channel. For more information on your Dolphins, go to LemoyneDolphins.com. I genuinely can't get enough of that music. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are proud multimedia marketing partners exclusively with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and Dan Tortora Broadcast Media. The Bobcat Buzz comes to you every single month. Plenty of new content has been added to our social media and on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. You can also bookmark their page on wakeupcalldt.com, which is the BSC Syracuse tab, where we'll be adding a bunch of our content as well. Subscribe to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and search Bobcat Buzz for all of our content on YouTube with our student athletes, administration, and coaches. Make sure you head out to the games and continue to support your Bobcats here in men's and women's basketball season after supporting them in men's and women's soccer seasons and the upcoming inaugural baseball season, which is on the horizon. Appreciate the Bobcats and all the stories we get to tell, and we've given them a spotlight that is truly special and unique to Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse on James Street here in Syracuse, New York. For more information on your Bobcats, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. Thank you so much for being a part of today's show, and thank you for being with me throughout my career. 19 plus years. Can't even believe that. Really. It's hard to even... 19 years. More than 19 years that I've been doing this. So it started with MU Courtside, and it's continued here today. Thank you for your support of my company. Thank you for your support of everything we do, and for going on and liking and subscribing and following and listening and watching and reading on wakeupcalldt.com, Facebook at wakeupcalldt, Twitter at calldt, Instagram at wakeupcall_DT, youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Thanks for coming out to the shows that we do in the community. Thanks for shaking hands and introducing me to your families. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your well wishes, your prayers, and your support. And just for being here. And thank you to all the people that have allowed me to tell their stories. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. For Wake Up Call, for Superpowered Pop, for Do Diz with Dan, for Comic Book Trails, and everything we do at Dan Tortora Broadcast Media. Thank you. I appreciate you. And let's keep making history. Let's keep doing amazing things. God first and God always. God bless you all. No stress. And do your best. I'll talk with you soon. Have a fantastic